What the world needs now is spiritual conviction, followed by spiritual experience. From Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind. And oh my goodness, I could not agree more. This is what the world is calling for. This is what this moment in history is requiring of you and I. Spiritual conviction and experience. This is what leads to creating the world that you and I want to be living in and the life of your dreams. This is what is required, I believe, to become the light makers, to unite together in the change you want in your life and you want in your communities and your relationships for your family and your beloveds in the world. I am Reverend Amani Malaika, and I am so glad you are here. And I want you to know that it takes practice to have spiritual conviction and spiritual experience, and you don't have to do it alone. Please join me in a community of practice. You can learn more at our website, ABQCSL.org, participate online in small groups, in our daily spirit calls, and also join in person in the Albuquerque area, 4 p.m. on Sundays. Hope to see you there. This spiritual experience, this spiritual conviction is the thing that I believe will ground you and I and empower you and I to be light makers, to manifest the greatness that you want to experience in your life and that you want to experience in the world at large, to manifest the changes and the transformation that are being called for, so that greatness, and greatness in the most spiritual sense, right? The greater good that all of life is and can be an expression of when anchored in the truth of who you are, when anchored in the truth of who I am, I can show up to life and contribute what is mine to contribute. You know, what I've been talking about in this series, thanks to Karen and her book, The Lightmaker's Manifesto, it's really about unleashing your passion, unleashing your holy, whole, delicious, true nature so that you can contribute to the change, to the transformation that you so desire in your life and in life itself, creating the world better. The issues that are drawing you in, the heartbreak that you would like to see change, I believe the greatest power you have to contribute to the change in your own life, to the change in the world, is your whole true nature, your divinity, your specific and perfect offering that you've been designed to give. And so that means you alive, you on fire, convicted by what you know to be true, by what lights you up. Getting in the habit of staying close to those passions, to those values, to what really matters in your heart of hearts, in the soul of your being. And when you and I come together in that, when you and I unite around these things that light us up, when you and I unite around love, capital L love, agape love, the big love, that unites us all inherently connected in this thing called life. It is what is true. And any sense of separation, any sense of division and polarization is untrue. That is not the nature of life. Life is naturally, inherently connected. You can look to science, you can look to biology, you can look within your own heart to know this truth. And when you begin to taste it and begin to touch it and begin to sip it, right? Dip your toe in that inherent connectedness, the waters of love. It is that experience that more deeply convicts you. The more that I give myself the embodied experience of truth, the embodied experience of my true nature, I naturally also begin to sip my inherent connectedness to all that is, my inherent connectedness to you. Even if you and I disagree, our connectedness, this shared life, continues to be true. This is the spiritual conviction and experience that I believe will power us, will fuel the courage we need to make the changes that need to be made. And I know that last month we talked about gentle giantness. And I know for me, any change that I've wanted to create in my life, any new habit I've wanted to form, anything I've wanted to do differently, habits or behaviors or addictions I've wanted to release, the way that I have been able to manifest that, one is to believe it's possible, right? Believe that it is possible that change can happen. It is through my spiritual life, through my spiritual experiences, that that belief has deepened and grown and strengthened. But it has also been because I've been gentle in my own approach. I have been loving and kind and generous to myself. And I've had to practice those things, right? It's not necessarily what I have learned about change, right? I've learned that I'm supposed to be tough and disciplined and kind of mean to myself to create change. But as I have deepened in my own journey and sipped the waters of love, of the divine, and quieted myself and turned within to get to know who I really am and what really matters to me, it is this sweet, sweet, sweet experience of my own divinity that has strengthened my resolve in believing in the good of all beings. It has strengthened my resolve into loving myself and others well. And the experience, not the idea of my own divinity, but beginning to experience my own divinity, that I have more deeply been able to stay connected to it and have been delighted and motivated to get more of that and begin to recognize it in all of the beloveds I meet in the world, even the ones that I don't like, even the ones that I disagree with wildly. This, I believe, is how you and I can be convicted enough and courageous enough to be the change we want to see in the world. And it comes back to what we've been talking about throughout this whole series. It comes back to you unleashing your inner good, your inner light, your true passions and delights, not the ones you've been told to care about, not the performative version is, I got to be a good spiritual person. No. You must experience your truth, because then it becomes undeniable. It's not just an idea anymore. It's not even just a belief. It becomes an experience that you can hang on to and know without a doubt that you are divinely made and put on this planet by divine appointment with divine gifts to share. And there's nothing outside of you, nothing you've been taught, nothing you've been told, nothing you see in magazines, on TV, in the news, whatever it is, that can deny your divinity when you have tasted it, when you have swam in the waters of the good that you are. You have no doubt in what you are and what matters to you and what it is you have to offer. This spiritual conviction and experience becomes the power for good that you can hang on to and be fueled by. Gosh, I want this for you. I want it more for me, and I want it for the world. I know without a shadow of a doubt that this power can create the fantastic future that you and I and life itself deserves and is moving towards in all moments. This good, this love is looking for a way in and out through you at all times and is never going to give up on you, never going to give up on us, ever. No matter how far and wide astray we go from the truth of who we are, the invitation to return, to discover, continues to be given by the divine every breath. And this is the good news. You can't actually screw it up. You cannot screw up your divinity. It is already so, and it is perfect and lovely, exactly as it is. You are perfect and lovely exactly as you are. And just like any goodness, any power, when it unites with more power, it becomes stronger. It becomes able to reach further, to do more. You deserve to be united in your own being with the good and the truth and the divinity that you are. And you deserve to be united with other beloveds who are also after the conviction and experience of love and goodness and truth. And again, it's not about agreement. It's not about performing goodness. It is about experiencing it. And from that experience, the conviction around what is so and good and true and possible gets stronger and stronger and stronger. I want to share with you from Karen Walrun's manifesto, the Lightmaker's Manifesto. She says, I blaze with courage and conviction. I am called to action. I am a light maker. You are a light maker. That is how you've been designed. And that courage and conviction, being ablaze and called to action, is what naturally happens from spiritual experience. The more you taste and sip those waters of love, the more you turn within and discover your true nature and the treasure that you are, the more lit up and ablaze you become. That courage and conviction becomes naturally available to you because you practice, because you discover and taste it and become lit up and on fire with it. And it is in you right now. So the practice, the spiritual disciplines are what make it possible for you to discover it. The daily turning toward yourself, expecting to find good, to find the divine, is the commitment you make for the purpose of discovering your true nature, which is the freedom and the liberation you seek. And as soon as you discover that in your own nature, you will discover that it is all of nature, that there is no life that misses this truth, that is outside of the divine, that is lacking good. This separation, this illusion of separation, this understanding, this misunderstanding, that somehow some people or some aspects of life are lacking divinity, are lacking goodness. This is a lie. This is a misbelief. This is the greatest ill of our time. And the way that I believe you and I can undo the divisiveness and the polarization and the separation that continues to appear in our world is to begin to discover and experience spiritual truth in our own beings. And the spiritual truth that you will discover and experience is that you belong to a greater good. And when you unite yourself with that greater good consciously, the conviction to sip those waters more and more and more, to bathe yourself in that truth more and more and more, also awakens you to the truth that that wholeness, that greater good, the divine, God, Allah, infinite intelligence, the absolute, the holy blessed one, is all there is. And every single piece of life, every person is also inherently belonging to that wholeness, is an expression of wholeness itself, is within that wholeness, and is here by divine appointment. There is no separation. It's an illusion. And you and I can unite together in that truth, creating more and more and more and more power and conviction and light in the world to create the world as we dream it to be. The fantastic future that you and I can dream in our greatest imagining is possible. And the courage and the conviction to be about it begins as you dip your toes in those waters, as you sip the goodness that you are, as you experience more and more and more of the truth in your own being, which is rooted in the larger truth, blossoming uniquely as you, inherently connected in the ground of all being that every single one of us is rooted in. We just have to wake up to it. We have to call ourselves to the work of waking up to it, to experiencing it. We have to be so convicted that this matters, that this awakening matters in your life, in my life, in the life of all life. And it's in this place that the dream of what's possible comes into vision. You begin to get these sparks and images of what is possible, rather than obsessing on what is impossible, what is wrong, what is broken, what is heartbreaking. We get to breathe into that heartbreak and let it remind us to turn within. Let it remind us that we are convicted to be light makers in this world. That you and I are not ever separated. That no human on this planet is separated from the root of good. I want to share with you one of my all-time favorite quotes from Audre Lorde. That was the cover of my journal, I don't know, for a couple decades in my 20s and 30s. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I'm afraid. In service of my vision, to use my strength, to use your strength in service of your vision. And you have a vision for the greater good. You have a vision of what is possible, of this fantastic future. And your strength, your conviction can be used in service of that possibility. And tell me what it looks like. Tell me what the greater good looks like in your mind's eye. When you are connected to the truth of what you are as a divine being, and and experiencing yourself rooted in this ground of love that is ever pervasive in this thing called life, what does that awaken in you? What visions and possibilities for the future awaken in you? And then you get to courageously, lit up by that vision, be in service to it. And oh my goodness, what becomes possible? What solutions begin to bring themselves to life through you? This, my friend, is the journey. This is the spiritual path. This is spiritual living. And there's no better time to unite as light makers than this moment in history. Dare to be powerful. Dare to use your strength in service of your vision. And do it supported in community. Join me, united as light makers, unleashing light on the world. I love you so much. Anchor this with me in prayer by shouting right where you are. And so it is.